Hello, I'm Ian Grant, and this is the Welcome to the Gallery podcast. I'm CEO and Gallerist of Umoja Fine Arts. And today I want to tell you a little bit about my artistic journey and my background. I was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and I came here to America, to the United States when I was young. Grew up in Chicago. We came to Chicago, and I could just remember coming into Chicago, seeing all the lights, all the beautiful buildings. Boy, was it incredible. That's a memorable moment. And I just want to talk about my life in Chicago, living there, and then moving from there while I was in high school because my dad retired to a small town, Cassopolis, Michigan. And I bring that up because it's very, very important because as we move forward, we want to develop the business both in the large cities and in the small town. And I think the background of having lived in Chicago, you're going to hear about Philadelphia, you're going to hear about New York, and you can also hear about Detroit. And all these different areas, and now putting it together with the small town as we develop generational wealth across the United States. And as we develop this business to tell about whose we are and who we are, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And it's very, very important that you understand that we need positive images of ourselves in our home so that we can be positive about who we are. So the artistic journey really started in Philadelphia when I was 21 years old after I graduated from college at Michigan State University. I committed with a major corporation. And I moved out there at 21 years old. I did not know anyone. And right up the street from me was a gallery called Lucian Crump Art Gallery. So I spent most of my time there with Lucian, who was a painter, a realistic painter. Realism, pretty much, was what he painted. But I spent a lot of time there watching him paint. He gave art shows. He brought tremendous artists in from around the country. But one of the skills that he did not have pretty much was marketing and how to market the product line. And that was my background. I worked with a major corporation as a marketing consultant. So therefore, I started to show him how to market his product line and how to get to profitability, how to create the supply and demand strategy of getting his product out into the marketplace. And one of the first artists that we brought to Lucian Crump Art Gallery, believe it or not, the incredible, the historical Romar Bearden. It was such a treat to meet Romar and to have Romar Bearden as one of your first artists that you're featuring at a gallery using marketing strategies in order to capture his artwork and everything he's done for us throughout history. And I just love the business. I would love to go to parties and events with Lucian and his friends where they would feature big dinner table with long tables. And then once you got into the home, they would always have tour guides that would tour and tell you about the art, tell you about the different mediums of the art, tell you whether it's an original, who the artists were. And I thought this was very, very key and important. And to be honest with you, at 21 years old, I really loved this lifestyle. I met a few millionaires, some that worked even on Wall Street, that rode the train from Philadelphia to New York every day. And they were big collectors. I can remember some of them were philanthropists, and they would just collect art. And at the end of the year, they would give a big art show, and they would give that art away to some major organization. And I really liked that because I said to myself, listen, one day I'm going to be a millionaire. And I would like to collect art also. So therefore, that I will be able to, at the end of the year, be a philanthropist and be able to give the art away. So I started collecting. And everyone was pushing me to collect Romar Bearden, which was one of the great artists at that particular point in time. I could have gotten one of Romar Bearden paintings for around $5,000. That's worth maybe $500,000 today. But at that particular point in time, I was not ready. Believe it or not, I had a poster in my apartment that was beautiful to me. And it was 3 eggs on there, red, black, and green. And this was so nice and so wonderful. And everybody kept saying, Ian, you need to invest in Romar. You need to understand generational wealth. But I just did not understand that. And so therefore, I did not make that purchase. So I think that is one of the things I let go during this collecting of art. And what I learned, even from myself and from other people, first of all, you start in the art business by collecting what you like. That's key. It's very important because what you have in your home, it's important for you to collect what you like. As I indicated, I spent a lot of time there, around 6 years in Philadelphia, just learning the business. I did not get paid pretty much to learn this business. I wanted to learn the business because I like what the artists offered. And while I was in college, I gave concerts. I used to give Prince, Time, Vanity, Luther Vandross, Maze, on and on and on. But I wanted to go into a new direction with a new industry because this industry was in an infancy stage as far as African Americans were concerned, as far as African American art was concerned. Not on the Caucasian side. They have developed that very, very strongly. And so it was key to me to help develop this business across the United States and across the world. So that was my journey. My uncle was a color separator, and he would separate the art and show me how he separated the colors. And basically, he would separate the reds, the blues, the greens, and he would bring them back together to make one complete image. And I was a marketer, so I knew how to sell the product line. So the things that he could not understand was when I hired him to do a job for me, he was like, Ian, I did the same process to all 4 of these images, but yet you're selling one for 100, another one for 300, one for 500, and another one for 1,000. And I tried to explain to him, marketing, supply and demand. What's the difference between a $10 artist and a $10,000 artist? Is marketing and demand. The same thing. You have some people that could sing better than someone else, but if they were marketed correctly and they're with the right company, they're going to be worth millions and millions of dollars. And that's basically how the art industry works. And I love artists. To me, basically, they're like a fruit in a basket. Some are apples, some are oranges, some are bananas, but they're all still artists, and some sing, some draw, some sing, and some draw basically visually. And that's the part that I'm involved with today, the visual aspect of the art. So after leaving Philadelphia, I went on another assignment to upstate New York. This is where I met David Haygood, an artist. And I purchased one of his original pieces of art. And he was very, very happy about it. He told me he wanted to get that artwork published. And so I told him, listen, I had the connections in Philadelphia because my uncle was a separator, color separator. So I could take your work down there and I could get your work published. I'll make the investments. I bought the artwork, made the investments for him, then gave him his artwork to basically go ahead and sell it. Then I saw him again, and he was not happy at all. And I said, David, what's going on? Why are you not happy? And he just basically said, I still have all the artwork. I haven't sold any of it. And so here's where the journey begins. This is when I got involved and put together a strategic plan to sell his artwork across the country. And I guess we could say from there, the rest is history, because I started working with various other artists throughout the country in order to publish their artwork and in order to sell their artwork. And I did this basically as a hobby and on the side and loving what I did and knowing that I was developing positive images for us. And at this particular point in time, the marketplace started shifting. We started coming out with a lot of sitcom shows like The Cosby Show, Different World, on and on and on. And we started being able to get on set our artwork in the background. So if you think about some of those art shows or sitcoms and you go back and take a look, you'll see a lot of African American art in the background, African Americans living well and collecting art. And the country wanted to emulate this. So this is what we call the golden era time period. The golden era time period was basically from 1985 until around 2005. So in 1990, I then went on another assignment from upstate New York, now here to the Detroit marketplace. So after about 4 or 5 years, we opened up our first gallery, Umoja Fine Arts. And we named it Umoja because Umoja means unity. It's Swahili. And I felt unifying was very, very important in working with other individuals. We believed in a concept and a phrase called the death of competition, that we don't need to compete against each other, that we need to work together to be able to spread this artistic journey about us, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And when we see positive images about ourselves and positive images about who we are and whose we are, that's very, very important, especially subliminally to the mind. That is key, in effect, on what they did during slavery time, on showing us different images and having certain images in our homes that will control our mind. So we want to collect positive images. But we did not start out for the first 10 to 15 years as a gallery. We started out as a publishing company because that's what I knew how to do, to publish. So what that meant was it was about 4,000 to 5,000 galleries across the United States at that time. So we would publish artwork from different artists. And we developed a catalog book that would go to all the different galleries throughout the United States. And so if you went into a gallery and you were looking for some artwork and they did not have that artwork, you would then look in the book and then place the order, and they would call us. They would have to order maybe a minimum of 3 prints. They would get 50% off. So if something costs $50, we would sell it to them for $25, but they had to order a minimum of 3. We also had a distribution company. With the distribution company, you had to buy anywhere from 30 to 50 images. So if you bought 30 to 50 images, you would get what was called 50 less 50. So therefore, if it's $50, instead of getting it for $25, you would get it for $12.50. And they still had the ability to sell it for $50 to give them much more profitability. So that was key and important as we were publishers, because every weekend here at Umoja Fine Arts, we had different artists that would stop in to sign the prints. It was important that a signature was on the prints. And people would stop in and they would meet the artists, and then they would get to know the artists. And during that time period, Annie Lee, out of the Chicago marketplace in Glenwood, gave Umoja Fine Arts an opportunity to be on the map. She opened up everything for us pretty much. Annie gave us exclusive distribution rights on her limited edition prints that she gave to no one else across the United States. So when we started showing up to all the shows, because every spring and every winter, all the galleries would come to different shows, whether they were in Atlanta at the ABC show, or whether we were in New York on Pier 88, or other locations across the country. They would come to do their spring and fall buying. By Annie Lee being my mentor and opening us up to exclusive distribution rights, that made all the other artists look at us and say, what are they doing differently? And why should I want to work with them? What marketing techniques are they using? What are their philosophies to move this business forward? So from there, we started working with people like the great Paul Goodnight. We started working with Charles Bibbs. We started working with Pancho. We started working with William Tolliver, on and on and on. And that was so key, and it was so important for our business to help develop our business. We then started working with Upscale Magazine out of Atlanta. And with Upscale Magazine, they gave us our first opportunity to run our first ad. And when we ran our first ad in Upscale Magazine, we were able to get exclusive distribution rights on a lot of the images. And our phones started basically ringing off the hooks. We had people right here in the Detroit marketplace. We even tried to advertise that didn't come into Umoja. But when they saw us in Upscale magazine, they would take a look and say, wow, I love these images. I love these images. I love this image. I would love to purchase it. And then they would see that we were right here in Southfield, Michigan. So we've been in this location now for over 27 years, okay? And they would come in and they would purchase the artwork, which I felt was very, very nice. And one thing when you're in business and you're an entrepreneur, you also have to be able to anticipate. It's key that you kind of anticipate the shift in the marketplace. It's key that you study the marketplace and where the market is going. And in 2007, based on the recession, we had some changes. And one of those big changes pretty much was that we had 4,000 to 5,000 galleries. And after the recession, we were down to maybe 500 African-American galleries across the United States. So therefore, we made a shift. We got into the gallery business ourselves because we already had people coming into Umoja that was purchasing art from us, that wanted to see the artists. So therefore, we started signing different contracts with the artists and started promoting their work on a national basis in order to help develop renowned artists. Also, our greatest strategy was to work with local artists and couple them with the renowned artists from around the country, because with us already traveling to Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, and throughout the world, we were able to meet the renowned artists. So we would help to develop the local artists with the international artists. And that's very, very key. And that is still part of our strategy today. And part of our strategy also is to move our business into the small town realm of America. And our goal is to help you understand building generational wealth. I know when you first start collecting, you're going to collect what you like I did. I could have had the great Romar Bearden and again, purchased this artwork for about $5,000. It would probably been $500,000 now. But I missed that opportunity because I only wanted to collect what I like. And it takes time, and you have to learn the business. So therefore, we published a book, and the book is called The Language of Fine Arts. And you could go to umojafinearts.com. That's UMOJA, fine, arts with a S.com. And digitally, you can download this book free, and it will teach you about the different mediums of art, about collecting art, and also about building generational wealth that we will continue to talk about. So we give nonstop art shows here for the community, to tie the community in, and to have artist talks, to teach individuals about what the artists are thinking about. We've even coined a phrase here at Umoja Fine Arts, and it's called art from the belly. And what this means is going down deep in the belly to be able to create the art, to be able to create who you are, and to put it on canvas. And I'm going to tell a story of one of our artists. His name is Marcel Stewart, a young artist, 32 years old, that started working with us at 29, 3 years ago. And when he first started developing his artworks maybe sold for $300 to $500. And this was during COVID time period when a lot of people were shutting down. We only shut down for 3 months with the mandate by the government. And then from there, we wore masks and we opened our operations up. But Marcel called me and he indicated to me, listen, I was just downtown and I was bum rushed by the police. They scarred my face up. They put me in the paddy wagon for 12 hours because I was trying to help someone out that didn't understand English because he knew a little Spanish. And another officer just saw him waving his hands. You know, we're very excitable people. So we talk with our hands. And so another officer saw him talking to two officers, waving his hands, and they didn't know what was going on. And they ran from a long distance and tackled Marcel. and, scraped his face and everything like that. And then they handcuffed him and put him in the paddy wagon for 12 hours. I said, Marcel, so what do you want me to do about this? You're telling me the story. You want me to get you a lawyer? How do you want to be protected? He said, Ian, I just want you to know. And I said, this is a perfect opportunity. I'm glad you shared that with me. Now it's time for you to go deep in the belly. And it's time for you to take that experience of being tackled to the ground, your face being scraped, and having to stand up for 12 hours in the paddy wagon with about 50 or 60 other people zip tied. And I now want you to go in the belly and put this on canvas for us. And that's what he did. And that's where we got the term and the phrase art from the belly. So that's very, very key and important. And today, Marcel work ranges from $2,000 to $20,000. Remember we talked about marketing, how key it is, how you have to take advantage of opportunities and times. What's the difference between a $10 artist and a $10,000 artist? It's marketing and be able to have someone who could drive the business and recognize the business. I would like to also thank my wife because she helped run this business for 10 years while I still worked in the corporate world and corporate structure. She was the one that was here. She made sure that the business was open every day, special designs, the layout of the artwork in the gallery, and having an understanding for the gallery. As she still works with the business today, working with the hospitality area, working with the design area and the design teams as we continue to grow and as we continue to develop our business. So we just want to thank everybody for all the opportunities that we've had as we grow and we continue to grow. We have developed 4 new divisions that we're bringing aboard to Umoja Fine Arts. One of the first divisions that we're moving into is that we're publishing books now. The first book that we will publish in the next year coming out will be from the great Paul Goodnight from out of Boston. We've just opened up our new custom framing operation. And we're going back into the realm, my background, the marketing background. We're going to be working with different artists from across the country that might not necessarily be a member of the Umoja Fine Arts family, but we'll be working with them through social media, showing them different aspects and different ways of how to market their product line, of how to think through getting their products to market and how to create and how to work with other distribution locations to get their art to prosper and to work with other individuals. I'm very, very proud at Umoja Fine Arts as we continue to expand our team with financial individuals. We've taken the business from now writing on paper to where everything is POS and digitized. We're studying the business from a standpoint of the e-commerce website. The e-commerce website generates 1/3 of our total business and 1/3 of our total sales throughout the world. So we're constantly studying that on a monthly basis to see where the shift is coming, what is going on with Instagram, what is going on with Facebook. And I'm proud to say, finally, we're now on TikTok, and we're starting to understand that format a lot better. And we have a lot of financial advisors, and we also have people that are working with us strategically as far as putting together strategic plans of moving our business forward. And we're working with a lot of organizations that I won't mention right now that's working with us to licensing agreements. And Annie Lee taught me about licensing agreements. That was very, very key, where she would take her image, she would put it maybe on a cup, she would put it on a throw. She developed, as you know, all the figurine lines that was so great. I even owned a checking company at one time where Annie and I signed a licensing agreement for us to put the art images on checks. Can you imagine that? African-American art images on check. And I just want to tell you that a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's so important because in order for us to feel positive about who we are and whose we are, we have to see ourselves in positive lights. You have to have positive images in your home so your kids could grow up seeing themselves that way. We're going to get into a series where we're going to talk about building generational wealth. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit today, just to touch on that. But I'm going to give you the background. I'm going to go back to 1930s. Let's talk about Jackie Robinson when he played baseball and the rest of them, Satchel Paige. And I can remember them saying, like, you know, these guys will never be able to play in the big leagues because that's the Negro leagues. They could run fast, they could slide quick and do these things, but they will never be able to play in the big leagues. You saw what happened when they got into the big leagues with Jackie Robinson, Satchel Paige, on and on and on. You saw what happened to that sport industry. But we don't own that sport industry today. We saw what happened to the development in the 50s and 60s with the music industry. We don't own the music industry today. We saw what happened, and a lot of people don't know this, that we used to own Hilton Head Beach. We used to own the beaches in Maryland and all up and down the coast, but we gave all that up. This is the last Mohican. I'm going to say it again one more time. This is the last Mohican, the art world, where you have an opportunity to own and share in some of this wealth of what's being generated. Because across the entire country, we're the fastest growing segment in the world. African American art is the fastest growing segment of the entire art world. And we're not the only ones that's consuming it. I talked to you about the sitcoms. I want to talk to you about Ernie Barnes and his art that was on Good Times. His painting just sold for $115 million. When they took it to auction, they said that this painting will only sell for $3 to $5 million. It sold for $115 million. Romar Bearden, Jacob Lawrence, some of our greats who they continue to say their artwork will only sell for $2 million is now selling for $20 and $30 million. I want to say I'm very, very honored that one of the first artists that I ever gave at Lucian Crump Gallery, with Lucian, of course, doing the marketing, was Romar Bearden. And that is a proud moment, even though I didn't get a chance to collect his work at that particular point in time because I didn't know. So I'm telling you that this is the fastest growing segment. You don't have to wait until the other persuasion tell you. It's very important that you understand this. We cannot be in bondage. We have an art sculpture in this gallery right now where you'll see this individual and he looks like he's in jail, okay? And it's a piece made out of clay. And he looks like he's in jail, but he's in bondage in two ways. Either he could be physically incarcerated or he could be incarcerated within his mind because of the limitation and he's not willing to open it up. So don't wait until the Caucasian tell you that it's time for you to buy the art, because once they start telling you it's time for you to collect and it's time for you to purchase this art, it's too late, because that means they have most of the collections. You're not going to be able to afford it much. And the ones who are able to afford it is going to be buying it at a very, very high rate. Look what happened here in Detroit in the last 3 years as they right-sized the city, as we saw gentrification. Not only here in Detroit, but across the United States. Isn't that very key and interesting how the movement happens at the same time? All the cities across the United States are being gentrified. And we had downtown. We had all the different areas. So now we're forced back to the neighborhoods. And they're forcing us out to the suburbs. So I'm telling you, look at this African American art. That's the fastest growing. That's still affordable. Look at young artists that you can afford to purchase, and look at purchasing the originals. It's okay to purchase prints. We sell prints. We sell archival prints. It's a lot you have to learn from here. So again, you could go to Umoja Fine Arts. That's UMOJA, Fine Arts with the S.com, so that you can learn from the book that we published how to help you understand a lot more about art. Umoja Fine Arts, we're open on we're open on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 1 to 6 p.m. And you can always stop in whenever you like. We want to thank you for this opportunity today.